So thank you. Welcome to Weekly Wildcard with Greg Cacino. Smart, fast, and fun, where Porsche meets pixels and great stories fly. We're going to pull a card. Let's go. So today I'm joined by Martin Wise, founder and CEO of RelPro, the relationship intelligence platform helping B2B teams find and grow the right account faster. So Martin, it's great to have you here. I thank you for joining.
Thank you, Greg. Great to be here.
Awesome. So we're going to dive right in. We're going to unpack the spark behind RelPro and really founder lessons from Martin, his life outside the build, and end with our weekly wildcard. So let's rewind, Martin. Let's go back to the beginning. When did RelPro feel like a real company and not just an idea?
But that's a great question. So founded the business in 2009, thought of the business during the fall of 2008, formed the business in 2009. It's funny that you asked the question the way you did. A number of my team have been with me really since almost the beginning, and and we pinched ourselves, at various times, but particularly around the 2016 kind of time where we said, you know what, we've got a proper business now. And it takes a while to get there. We'll probably talk about other parts of the story and the evolution, but you're right. It's really very exciting when you start, particularly in a SaaS business like ours, to feel that you've created something where you get to the end of the 1-year subscription period and people want to renew because they're enjoying it and they're seeing value and you see growth. And yes, we've used many times the phrase, we think we've got a proper business now. It's an exciting stage for a founder and a team to get to.
It is. It's a lot of companies we talk to have that moment, this aha moment of where they realize it's now a real business. And I think that's what you're talking about. So, RelPro has been, just like Roundtable, made the Inc. 5000 list. What was it like to make the list for the first time and then subsequently again?
Yeah, and 5 times now. And not to get too far ahead of ourselves, I think we're going to make it 6 times too. But it's exciting, right? It's the Inc. 5000 is one of those recognitions, which is really it's a recognition that everybody involved in the company could enjoy, because it's so clearly for our team members who without whom it would never have happened. It's a great recognition for them, but it's also great for our clients and our investors and our partners, the other stakeholders in our overall business enterprise, to see that all that hard work that we're all putting in with each other is all yielding some results, not only in absolute terms, but relative to other companies in the software sector or in New Jersey, or however we want to measure it. It's really a great recognition for people.
Yeah, and 5 times is no joke. It's hard to make it, the first time and then the second time, but when you make it 5 times, I mean, it screams you're doing something right. You're doing something consistently that is exponentially growing the organization. So, congratulations on 5 times. Hopefully you make it 6 times. Not to try and speak too far ahead for us as well. I think we'll make it 2 times in a row. So we'll see you there again next year.
Yeah.
To stay on this topic, talking about success, in sustainable success, and what it takes is, not, you've already mentioned, it's not yourself, it's everybody in the company. But that comes with growing pains. So, as the company has grown, what do you think was the biggest early challenges in getting to the company to where it is today?
Yeah, it's a great question, Greg. I think that, clearly growing any business is a journey, right? There are all kinds of challenges almost all the time. I think that when I think back, though, to getting the company off the ground, as you say, probably my biggest reflection on that period is that it's when you're starting from scratch and trying to create something from dust, as we did. It's easy to think of problems, or it's easy to think of clever things that you can do. Particularly, it's easy to think of clever things that you can do. But the real key is trying to align, all of your sort of creativity and what have you with what are the problems that people will actually pay you to solve. And that's a real subset of the problems that you might. It's easy to think of all these kind of weird and wacky ideas of things that you maybe could do, but the key thing is to align against a set of problems or capabilities that people will actually pay you to solve. And how you get to that moment and a spark is the essence of getting a company off the ground. For some geniuses, which is not me, I'm sure they come up with those commercial sparks very quickly. For us, as I say, founded the company in 2009. It really wasn't until 3-4 years later that we actually had a SaaS product that actually started to emerge. And the reason for that was that rather deliberately, for the first 3 years or so, 3-4 years, we were doing more bespoke data and analytics types of engagements with clients, which was our way of trying to figure out what was the market here, what were the pain points that people were actually experiencing that they were prepared to pay for. That was our way of finding it. I think there's a factor in there that when you're a grey-haired founder as opposed to a 22-year-old founder, you've only got one shot at this, and so we were rather deliberate in trying to find that so-called product market fit, because it wasn't a question of raising a lot of third-party money and just throwing it at the problem. We needed to be rather deliberate, and fortunately it worked.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to hear. So we're going to transition a little bit. So, we're going to go into some product evolution. So, RailPro's got the spark. So let's talk about repeatable value and how it evolved. So, as the company evolved, and you've talked about this a little bit, since its founding, were there any pivots or surprises along the way that, the company had to overcome, whether it was back then or now? Well,
definitely the first 2 years were about, I guess there were pivots all the way in some respect, but at the same time, as you say, you have to have a constant direction. The first 2 years very much were exploring, as I've said. Then the next 2 years was really building and nurturing the famous the minimum viable product to try and get a sense of what was really happening. And then 2015, end of 2015 and early 2016 was really where that product came out in a way that it was really adding value, and that helped us to then determine what we've now become, which is a sales intelligence platform particularly focused on people in financial and professional services that are looking to get to small and mid-sized companies. We found that in 2015 we would have sold the platform to anybody that would buy it, because it's like revenue from anywhere kind of a stage. But the real critical pivot was or focus really was end of 2016, where that's when we decided to focus in on financial and professional services. And once you start to get that fit and that focus, you can move faster, because then you know as much what not to do as what to do, and that's a huge efficiency and effectiveness boost.
Yeah, that's great. Now, RailPro is starting to get into and utilizing some AI, and we try not to talk about this on every podcast, but it's hard not to do in these days now, because it's just so relevant with everybody, and everybody's trying to do pilots and adopting it. Having been involved in AI for almost a decade now, I understand where it's going and what it is, but instead of talking about everybody trying to jump onto it today, let's talk about 10 years from now. Let's fast forward 10 years. And in your opinion, utilizing it right now and seeing what it can do, what would your boldest prediction for how AI will change the way entrepreneurs and founders lead companies in the future?
Well, you asked the question in an interesting way, and so I will, because what you could say is, how is AI going to change the nature of how business is done in 10 years' time? But I'm gonna deliberately pick it up the way you asked it, which is how does AI affect the way that the founders will lead companies in 10 years' time? And actually, to be honest with you, I think that the essence of what makes for a successful founder, for a successful leader in 10 years' time, I think that the principles of leadership around, your character, or integrity, vision, when I say I hope those are still the important essences of what it takes to found and lead a company, I really hope it is. And AI is going to do a lot, but for as long as there's still a human element to the way that organizations operate, then AI may make a whole bunch of things easier, but the way founders lead, I think the essence of it should still be rather similar. What will change, we feel it all the time, right? Is the way that AI can accelerate processes, and therefore make the cycle times for innovation quicker, and maybe make the experimentation and the generation of new ideas and new angles quicker as well. But in terms of the essence of what it takes to conceive and lead an organization, I very much hope that will still be very similar. It's honestly, that's my answer to that question.
Yeah. And I'll piggyback off that too, is I fully agree. We are so far away from AI having any sort of replication of human emotion and human intellect and in the way humans make decisions for headcount and operations and things like that. So definitely agree with you that the ethos of the founder, ethical founder, being there to do the right things at the right time is certainly an aspect of it. So I want to transition a little bit more into, further into, founders, entrepreneurs, and really your role there. So, being the founder of a very successful business, how has your role as the founder evolved over time?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. Again, in the early days, it's very much a journey, as we've said. In the early days, I think the role of the founder is very much around establishing that overall vision and direction and kind of sense of purpose as to what the organization is going to try to do. While the organization is very much in that sort of learning and figuring out what it's meant to be type of a phase. I think that the founder also quickly, after, as much as the vision thing is important at the beginning, it's also really important from very early days to establish a sense of what the culture of the organization is going to be. We have always had a very collaborative team, both within the team of RollPro, but also because we were creating something with almost no financial and other resources. We've always partnered very well with other firms as well. It could be data partners, could be go-to-market partners, and so on. So that requires a certain culture to make that kind of collaboration work. And one of the things that I was told by a good friend of mine back in the very early days that I still remember now, and she was so right, is that there is this saying that says that culture beats strategy every time. Mm-hmm. You can have the best strategy, but if you don't have the right culture within your organization, you're very unlikely to be successful. So, and the reality is that your strategy, as you talked about with pivots and things already, your strategy evolves over time. So the culture is far more constant than the strategy is. So visionary at the beginning, culture carrier and culture creator at the beginning as well. Then of course you start to have, in our case, you start to have a product, and all of a sudden every founder has to be a salesperson because revenue trumps everything at that point. And so there's you're at that stage when you have an early stage product that the founder should be able to sell the product better than anybody else because they're the one that kind of helped to shape it. But then there's that key moment where you actually manage to have another member of the team that can sell the product as well as you can. And a former founder that I'd spoken to back at that stage said that is really important, that you can have other people sell a product as well as the founder who created it. And then beyond that sort of salesperson stage, it's really then, and it's very much where I am now, it's more of the founder as a coach, because you have a team. I'm not even the one hiring everybody now. The rest of the team are hiring. The organization has its own ability to be generating and growing itself. It's a bit scary actually sometimes, but I increasingly am therefore more of a coach. And as literally as someone said to me this morning, I'm spending more time working on the business, less time working in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a journey.
And it's a long journey too. It's not easy to do. So we have a lot of viewers that are entrepreneurs that, they take, one or two things away from these podcasts. And I think one of those things that we've been asked a lot is, more of the struggles, more of the lessons or the mistakes. So I have to ask, you've been doing this for a long time, Martin. Maybe not down, narrowed down to one mistake, but what would be one thing maybe that you've done as a founder and entrepreneur that ended up being a valuable lesson for you that you could pass on to the viewers here?
Well, yeah. So I think maybe I'll say two things. There are two sides of that coin.
Sure.
From the mistake point of view, it comes a little bit back to the culture that I mentioned earlier. It's really hard at the beginning when the essence of the company is beginning to come together. The ideas of what the company can be and what it's meant to do come together. Those are very trying times for some people, and actually particularly for young people, because young people, as I discovered in the early days, for understandable reasons, want to come into a company and feel like it has already a sense of purpose that they can kind of latch onto and commit to. In the early days, the world's not that perfect because you haven't figured out all the things that you're meant to be doing. And so in the early days, you hire some people who may or may not fit with the culture that you feel is appropriate and correct for the organization. Or even later on, you hire someone and you think, they interviewed really well. This is particularly the case with salespeople. They interview really well because a good salesperson should interview well. But actually now here they are as part of the team. The cultural fit doesn't work so well. It's like when you're buying a new home, right? I think, at least from my wife and I experience, if you're buying a new home and you walk into a potential house that you're going to buy, you know almost straight away whether you walk in whether that's the house that you want to buy and you want to live in. I think equally sometimes when people actually arrive and start work, you think, they were really good in the interview, but you know what? They don't fit quite so well in the culture. And what I've realized, the lesson I've learned, I guess, is that when you get that feeling, and particularly when you're my age, you get to trust your gut quite a lot. And when you get someone who's not fitting within the culture, it's actually better to have a professional parting of ways sooner rather than later. And the rest of your team look to you to be making those kind of decisions, because they realize that this person doesn't quite fit in either, and they want to see you as the founder leader make those kind of cultural selections, because it actually helps to reinforce what the culture of the organization really is. And so I think that one lesson is that your talent in your team, at least in our business and many others like ours that you will be listening to this, your talent in your team is everything, and anything that threatens to distract or divert attention within that team is super important to take care of. So I guess that's the one lesson. I think that, the other side of the coin is just the importance of relationships with clients and doing the right thing by your clients always. And the relationship that you have with clients is so important, not just from a dollars and cents revenue point of view, but it's so critical to the feedback that you get from clients as to how to grow the business, new ideas that they have for you, and so on. So my other lesson is not so much a mistake; it's more, because I think we've actually done it well, is just stay close to your clients and be there for them, be their partner, get things done for them that they would expect you to do, and learn from them, listen to them. Those are the two slightly different lessons, but hopefully helpful.
Yeah, very, very valuable lessons, though. So again, a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast, so I think that's going to be very valuable for them. So look, let's get away from business now. Let's transition a little bit more. Let's close the laptop. I want to know what keeps you sharp when the dashboard's off. So, we had talked before, you have a lot of hobbies, you have some pretty cool hobbies. So what is your hobby of choice that you like to do outside business?
Well, my hobby of choice outside of business has changed in a way a little bit in the last year, because we've become grandparents for the first time. And so the hobby of spending time with grandchildren is absolutely phenomenal, and a great reinforcement of the things that are important in life. And that's spending time with our daughters and son-in-laws and grandchildren. But also, to your point, love to play golf and tennis. I just got back from a golf trip in Scotland, and there's nothing like that to just take your mind off everything else and have a good time with friends, and and just kind of let your hair down a little bit. And then I love to ride my dirt bike in Colorado. I grew up on a farm in England, and had when I was a teenager had motorbikes that I rode off road, and fortunately one of our daughters and her husband live in Colorado Springs, and we have a great time going out there and seeing the outdoors from behind a pair of handlebars, which is fantastic.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that's pretty fun. I never got into dirt bikes. They scared the crap out of me as a kid. So I never got on them, but congratulations with your grandchildren as well. That's exciting. I have two little girls at 2 and 4, so it was super exciting when I had kids, and I get it. It's like it completely takes up your time. So I have a feeling you're going to say yes to this next one probably, but obviously your current hobby is spending time with your grandkids now. You obviously, fantastic trip to Scotland. I mean, where golf all started pretty much. It's awesome to get there and see the golf courses there. Would you say that, your hobbies, recharge your batteries, you recharge your creative, decision making, when you come back into the office as well? Or is it something where you just really disconnect and that's your time to mentally just stay away from business?
I'm going to give you I'll give you my answer. I mean, I've been running my own business now for 15 years. I have thought about it. Some of your viewers and listeners will think this is very sad. I've thought about it every day for the last 15 years, but the reality is you never, I mean, you're running a business. It becomes a part of your life, and it's your, we have 2 children, but you also have a business to nurture as well, right? And it's so I'm not going to give you that kind of Zen moment answer that some of your interviewers or interviewees may give you around, I love to go do yoga and feel completely detached. That's not me, sadly. No, I find it is nice to go play golf, go out on the bike, or what have you, when you have to just focus on other things. But I derive a lot of pleasure from the network of friends that you make who are also entrepreneurs and running businesses as well. You don't have to. I don't have to detach from my business to kind of enjoy it and learn new things. I've you built the nicest thing in a way about being sort of an entrepreneur and growing your own business is that you're not alone, because so many other people have done it as well. And so the nice thing is getting to meet new friends and new people who have walked that journey before you, that you can learn from. So I always, I guess for me, it's not so much been about detaching. It's more about just keep learning. It doesn't matter how old you are, you're learning every day. So, and the AI thing keeps us all on our toes. So, yeah, but no, it's less about, maybe sadly, it's less about detachment for me. I'm not very good at doing that, but that doesn't mean that I can't have fun as well.
Yeah. No, you and I are in the same boats. It's very, very hard for me to detach from work, to the point I bring my laptop on vacation, and I take a vacation once every 5 years. So
yes,
it's difficult. And yeah, I think there's a lot of viewers that will get that. And then there's a lot of viewers who are sort of on the other side of the fence where, there is a prioritization to go do yoga, go do other things to separate. So yeah, I think we're transitioning into a different period of time where entrepreneurship's a little bit different than, what we grew up with, for sure.
Yeah. It's whatever works. Yeah. There's lots of different types of us out there. So it's whatever works for you. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Martin, we're going to get into the main part, which is weekly wildcard here. So we do this every week, and it's time to pull a card. So we're going to pull a cool fact. We usually go through a cool fact, and today I want to see if you know this. I did not know this at first, even though I was everybody in today knows what Bluetooth is. But do you know who Bluetooth is named after and what the logo came from?
No, I have absolutely no idea.
I had no clue at all. So Bluetooth, it's named for a Viking king, Harold Bluetooth Gormson. And he was known for uniting tribes. And the logo merges the runes from his initials, H and B, into a single glyph. And that's where we get the Bluetooth symbol from.
Who knew?
I thought that was pretty cool. Definitely not where I thought it came from, but it was pretty cool. So I think that's a perfect place to land. So Martin, thank you for riding along on Weekly Wildcard. I'm Greg Acino. Follow, review, and send us your weekly wildcards, and we'll catch up with you next week. And Martin, again, thank you so much again for your time today.
Great to spend time with you, Greg. Thank you. Take care.